So I'm really excited that you have an interest in the Hult Prize here on the University of Arizona campus. This is the first time that the university will be hosting what's called a campus qualifier, which is an opportunity to pitch your idea in person on campus and potentially get an automatic bid or advance automatically to the national pitch competition. And so this is a great opportunity to be able to do that, to come up with an idea, pitch it, and hopefully progress really far through this entire international pitch competition. So what is the Hult Prize? So the Hult Prize sits within a global foreign study, foreign exchange organization called EF, based in Boston, Massachusetts. And the Hult Prize has been around for many years and is an international pitch competition focused around for-profit, for-good startup ventures by students. And so it's purposely for-profit, for-good. So this isn't for nonprofit organizations or nonprofit startup ideas. It is for ventures that are designed to be profitable. They are for-profit, but also designed to serve a social mission, a social entrepreneurial mission, and that is focusing on one or more of the UN's 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. And so the idea is to be able to be profitable, but at the same time serve a broader mission. So it's a great opportunity for those of you who have an existing idea that may be tweaked and pivoted a little bit, or one who wants to come up with something brand new to serve, again, one or more of these really important development goals. Um, well, so let me just walk through the process that starts, as I said, with our campus qualifier that is scheduled for February 18th, 2026, next spring, here again on campus at the Franke Honors College. So as I said, the first step is our campus qualifier on February 18th. The winner of that pitch competition that's coming from our campus will automatically go to the national competition, which currently is in Boston, Massachusetts, though there may be an opportunity to have one out on the western side of the country as well. But whoever wins that automatically goes to nationals. Now, the second and third place team might also be able to make it, depending on their idea. And so we'll be videotaping all of the presentations, sharing that with the Hult Prize staff, and they will review all the second and third place teams across all the campus qualifiers in the States and pick one or two more of those. So we could have up to three, but we'll absolutely have one student venture that will progress to the national competition. At that point, across the globe will be national pitch competitions where all the campus qualifiers and others will be able to go and pitch again and be able to advance their idea between the campus qualifier and the national competition, which will be in April or early May. And so from that group, we'll then go on to a digital incubator that will happen during the summer, and there will be 60 teams that will participate in that digital incubator, which will again advance their idea even further through all the mentoring and program that will be done during that. Now, that is a fully online experience because they realize that a lot of students are going to be doing internships and other activities during the summer. So it'll be something we'll be able to do online with your team, with Hult's mentors and other staff that will help advance that idea even further. Then the next step is out of that digital incubator will be 25 different teams that will then go to England in person for 3 weeks at a castle outside of London where they'll advance the idea even further. And that will be a great opportunity also to be able to connect with lots of different potential partners, vendors, even customers, as well as funders in that 3-week period of time. And anybody who shows up at that's going to be successful. Now, the grand prize is at the end of that, 8 companies or ventures will pitch their final idea, and the winner of that receives a $1 million investment in their startup idea, which is tremendous. But anybody who shows up in that final group is going to have a company, and it will just be another benefit to go all the way and win the final prize. So I want to talk briefly about the 4 criteria on which you'll be judged during our campus qualifier. And these will remain consistent throughout the process if you do advance to national and incubator and accelerate, and hopefully to the final prize. So the first one is your team. As I said earlier, it's really important to have a diverse team. A diverse in terms of kind of knowledge and skills, because you want to be able to demonstrate that on the pitch, that this group can make this idea come true, that we have the skills, we have the knowledge. So that's the first thing to even start on, trying to find that team, but then to be able to really articulate what our skills are, who's going to be responsible for different parts of this venture, maybe product idea, product ideation, product development, over here is marketing, over here is finance. So find that group and be able to demonstrate that group during your pitch. So the second criteria will be your idea. And so as I kind of also shared earlier, there's really 2 major points to that, and that is, what is the problem and what is the solution? So if you can really articulate the problem that you've identified and have that be as clear and as explainable as you can, and really be something that ideally you have gathered some initial information about this problem and how important it is, or how big a problem it is in different parts of the world, different communities across the globe. That's really important to be able to articulate that we have identified a problem, and this is a real problem that we want to address. And while it's also a problem, it's also opportunity. So it can be like, we see this a problem, but we also see an opportunity to be able to develop something for this particular area. So that's one part. The other part is your solution. So you've identified the problem, tremendous. What is your solution to address that problem? Now, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are laudable goals, but they're also incredibly big goals. Decreasing poverty, clean energy, clean water. Those are massive problems that you can't solve by yourself. But can you take a little slice, a little square out of that, a little puzzle out of that big puzzle, and be able to address a part of it? You don't need to try to address all of it. So your solution needs to be reasonable, and again, can be articulated well, but is also achievable. If you go in and say, this will solve world hunger, that's a tough one to be able to say you could do. But can you address it in a very small way? And that hopefully collectively we can address it, as a larger group, global group. But that's what you need to be able to identify is, here's the problem that we've identified, and here's our solution, how we're going to actually do that. And there's obviously lots of different ways. There's, using AI, which is really popular right now, different software as a service applications or SaaS applications. There's products, there's other services, there's other partnerships. So there's lots of ways to do that, but you just need to be able to articulate a reasonable and achievable solution. The third criteria is, what is your impact? So that's where you do need to draw a clear line between the problem you've identified, the solution you've created, and one of these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And ideally, you want to try to align it with more than one. 1 to 3, a couple would be great. And that, you take a look at the Sustainable Development Goals, that's certainly achievable, because most things are going to have multiple impacts. Now, that said, don't list out 7, 8, 9, or certainly all 17 of them, because that's not reasonable. Again, you're not solving the climate crisis by yourself. You're not ending world hunger by yourself or reducing poverty all by yourself. You're doing a little slice. You're also not addressing all 17 sustainable development goals. You're addressing one or two, maybe three at the most. So identify that. That's your impact. Then another element of that is to be able to measure that impact. So how can you demonstrate that you're actually impacting on that sustainable development goals or two? How are you doing that? And that gets into what's called key performance indicators or KPIs. So what are those for your particular venture? So think about that. How are you doing it? Is it, you know, number of students taught, number of people trained, number of gallons of water cleaned? Whatever your particular venture is, what are the things, what are those KPIs, those indicators that you can say, listen, we've done this venture, we've rolled it out in different parts of the community across the globe, we have done in some number within the first quarter or the first year. What are those things? So really think about that. And again, those need to be achievable and measurable. They may be things like increasing the benefit of something. Well, how do you measure that benefit? Make it concrete. Identify KPIs that can be counted and are concrete and are directly related to what you're doing. So that's how you define impact. So the last criteria is business viability. So this is, again, a for-profit venture. So that's where we're getting into kind of the more core business kind of metrics. Do you have a business model? Meaning, do you have a structure of your venture that is reasonable, that is achievable? And the biggest one along there is it scalable? A lot of ideas are great, and you can make a particular product, in a lab or, on your kitchen table, and you can do one of them or two of them. But can you do hundreds of thousands of them? How would you do that? Are you going to manufacture them? Are there other organizations or other companies that could manufacture that product for you? Who might they be? So that's the business model. How are you going to take your little idea and make it big? Now, you don't need to deal with all of those specifics at this early stage, but you have to be able to present that you're understanding those things, that you're thinking about them already. You don't need to have all the answers yet, but you do need to have some senses like, this is the path that we take. Not necessarily the individual companies or the process, but this is the path that we're going to take. As well, you do need to be profitable. So again, this, as I said, this is a for-profit venture. So what are the economics, the unit economics? Meaning, if you are selling something, a product, how much do you imagine the market would bear, that the market could pay this price? And do you think you could sell it at that price and be profitable? And have you thought through that piece? So, so that's the profitability piece. And then the last one is, what is the competitive landscape? Who else is doing something in this area? And the key piece for any venture is your differentiation. How are you different from the other competitors out there? And is that differentiation one that actually matters? You can be different, but maybe nobody cares about that difference. So you'd be able to articulate, here are the competitors, here's how we're different from them, and in what way is that difference tangible, and that you can articulate that tangible difference really matters. So I wanted to also share a few key dates or steps along the way. So the first thing is you have to register as a student team. That has to be done by February 15th of next year. That has to be done by that point. Otherwise, you don't compete. Now, our event is on February 18th, so you need to do it even before. And I would just do it as soon as you can. And I will share that link so you know where to go do that. So click on the link, state who you are, that you're with the at the University of Arizona. Just get that registration done. So that's a critical first step to do. Once you do that, I'll be able to see who on our campus has registered, and then I'll be able to invite you to our February 18th campus qualifier and get you all set up. So that's the first thing that you need to do. Another thing that we've put together to help you in this ideation process is put together two different GPTs within ChatGPT that are designed to walk you through the process that I've kind of shared already about coming up with an idea and then even further taking that very initial idea and developing it a little bit further. So I wanted to just highlight and show you where that is. And again, I'll provide the links to that so that you can go directly to that if you want to use that tool. So when you get to this GPT, just simply select Begin the Hult Prize Ideation Journey. And that will give you the point where you can start thinking about your idea. Now you can come from scratch, like I want to just start from the beginning, or say, hey, I already have an idea, let's start there. But in either case, you're going to be able to start at the stage one where you put in your kind of background, who you are, what your interests are, and that will take you through various stages to help you kind of further refine, further develop, matching it up with these sustainable development goals. So, and it will build in these pauses as well. Now, one thing that I think is very valuable is it also helps you kind of think further about your idea by aligning it with past Hult Prize winners. So that's always useful, and it provides those links based on kind of what you shared to date, and will help you kind of think through, hey, somebody else has done this, maybe I can do it too. When you get to the end, it will present your problem summary. And that's where you want to copy that summary, and then you're going to use it in another GPT that we've created, moving from idea to pitch. So if you select the Hult Prize ideation selection option here, then you're going to paste in, I should say, what you came from the Hult Prize ideation. And that will start you on another journey to further refine your idea even more down to a point where it gives you this pitch kind of selection at the very end. So if you just walk through this process, it will get you to a really solid idea. So again, we're really excited that you have an interest in participating in the Hult Prize. And if you have any questions or just want some help in starting to think through your idea, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to help.